Hello, thank you for being with us. You are Managing Director of Betty's and Taylors of Harrogate since 2009, right?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, and you have been in this company for 22 years, and you have been working in this industry for 36 years, right?
36 years, long time, yeah.
Yes.
Old man.
Yeah, and you're also actively involved in a number of trade and sustainability bodies within the tea and coffee industries. And your speech will be about sustainability and the role of the supply chain. So my first question is, how do you make a positive difference in the world?
Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about our approach to making a positive difference in the world. It's something that we've been doing for many, many years. So we put people and planet on an equal footing with profit. And whilst many other companies talk about this, we've been doing it for many, many years within our family business. And in particular, I'm going to be talking about our sourcing approach. So we have a particular approach that brings together quality, sustainability, and relationships with our suppliers. And for us, that means we get a consistent supply of really great flavored tea and coffees. And for the farmers and smallholders that supply us, it means that they get improved livelihoods.
Okay. So let's start with these pictures. What is the history of your business?
Yeah, so as I say, we were a family business, and we were started in 1886 by this chap on the right here, who's called Charles Taylor. You said he looked like Sigmund Freud.
Yes, I think he looks like Sigmund Freud.
Yeah,
this is the same moment of history, you know?
Yeah, well, he was Charles Taylor. He started a business in Leeds, importing tea and coffee in 1886. And then in 1962, our business was acquired by a business that was started by a Swiss immigrant called Frederick Belmont, the Betty's business. And we have a chain of 6 cafe tea rooms in Yorkshire. Yorkshire, that county, we call it God's County. Famous for cricket, it's famous for Yorkshire puddings, and it's now famous for Yorkshire tea. So that's where we're based, in Harrogate. And since then, we've grown to become the leading tea and coffee supplier in the UK, mainly to the supermarkets, but increasingly international.
Okay.
So if I just tell you a little bit about the products we make and the business that we have. We turn over about £260 million. We employ about 1,600 people across our group. And in tea, we have 2 main brands. Yorkshire Tea that I mentioned, which is now the leading brand in the UK, which is about 35% share of the market. And Taylors of Harrogate, which has a range of specialty teas and infusions that we sell increasingly international in about 45 countries around the world. So if any of you are interested in our products, we have a stand in Hall 5C, number 249, and there's a number of my colleagues there at the back who I'm sure will be keen to tell you about them. The ones in the bright T-shirts, so they'll tell you about our products.
So what is your company vision?
Well, let me just tell you a bit about coffee first. So
sure.
We do coffee as well, and we're equally successful in coffee. We're the leading ground coffee brand in the UK. We do blends of coffee with lighter blends. We have one called Lazy Sunday. We have a darker blend called Hot Lava Java. And then about 5 years ago, we did some innovation in the market, making coffee bags. So we make coffee bags, which are now have changed the category in the UK. You can ask your question.
Yes, I was wondering, what is your company vision?
So we have this vision, which is to share our Yorkshire passion for top quality tea and coffee with the world. That's the first bit. And building genuine, lasting relationships along the way. So by sharing our passion, what we try and do is put smiles on our consumers' faces. And we do this in a number of ways. Obviously, by doing great tasting coffees and teas. So whether it's a really nice, zesty coffee from the high-grown mountains of Kenya, or if it's a good Assam tea from India, we try and produce the best quality coffees that are available on the marketplace. And a lot of our consumers will vouch for that. And then we also do it with the personality of our brand. So we have a real point of difference in our advertising, where we do engaging, slightly quirky advertising. It's a bit odd in our true Yorkshire spirit. And we also have nice packaging. We do that through TV advertising and an increasing social media following as well. And in a recent survey with YouGov, we were voted the favourite food brand in the UK. So we're very known. We're very well known by our consumers. And then on the relationship side, we try and encourage long-term relationships with our distributors internationally, with our suppliers at origin as well. And we have a great culture in our business. There's a bunch of passionate people. The ones with the yellow and the pink T-shirts over there are good examples of them.
Yeah, you're easy to recognize
Yeah.
thanks to your T-shirts. Please, can you tell us more about the quality of your products?
Yeah, so our quality of our products, we as I say, we do tea and coffee, and we source from around 1 million farmers around the world in 24 different countries. Will over there in the blue T-shirt at the back is one of our tea tasters and tea buyers at the back. And he goes to great lengths to produce the finest leaves or the best beans that we can get from around the world. And we have long-term relationships with them, as I say, and people like will travel around the world and go and visit the farmers and work on improving the quality. Whether we do that through better agronomy or better processing, we try and get the leaves and beans that we need, which exactly meet our specifications for the top quality tea and coffee. And in return for that, the farmers get much higher prices. So we pay higher prices than most buyers. And all of our products are certified either Fair Trade or Rainforest Alliance too. And the quality goes beyond just the raw materials. In our packaging, we spend a lot of time designing our packaging. You see a Yorkshire tea pack being produced on the line there to make it both desirable and functional and also sustainable. So we've got a goal to remove plastics from all of our packaging by 2025. There's a commitment to do that. And our blends, you can see, there's Will or one of his colleagues tasting tea there. So they taste blends and they source blends, and it's a real art to blending because tea and coffee throughout the year, they're seasonal products and they change their flavor profiles.
Mm-hmm. You got a lot of awards, not only thanks to the quality of your products and their taste, but also thanks to all the efforts you made regarding sustainability. So tell us, please, about the awards you got.
Yeah, so we've won a number of awards. The first one is the Royal Warrant. So we have a Royal Warrant, which is now it was the Prince of Wales Warrant. Now King Charles drinks our teas and coffees in his household. And he came to visit us actually a few years ago. We've had the Prime Minister and we've had the King coming to visit us. And both of them tasted tea with one of Will's colleagues there. And do you know the difference between a Prime Minister and a King?
No, you're going to tell me.
Yeah, the King spits and the Prime Minister doesn't after he's tasted the tea. So that's the difference. He was good fun, King Charles, and Camilla, the Queen, now Queen, came as well, and she was equally good fun. But so we won the Royal Warrant, and we have that on all of our, every 5 years we need to renew that and ensure that the royal household are buying our products. The second logo on there is the Queen's Award. So we've been 4 times winners of the Queen Award for the work we do in our supply chain on sustainable development. And we work very hard to work on a more sustainable and much fairer supply chain. And we've won the Queen's Award 4 times for that. In fact, we had the presentation, the most recent one, just last week in Yorkshire. And then the final one is carbon neutral. So our business is a carbon neutral business. And at the moment, our products are all carbon neutral as well. And I was privileged to go to the COP26 Awards in Glasgow last year, where we were awarded a UN Climate Action Award for the work we've done on carbon neutrality, which I can tell you a bit about.
Yeah, I can imagine how proud your people are thanks to all those awards. Please, can you tell us more about your plants? We have pictures of them here. How many plantings do you have and where are they located?
Okay, so the award we won was for making our business carbon neutral, and we do this from 2 ways. Firstly, from reducing our emissions, things like solar panels, reducing the amount of transport we use, and on removing waste in our factories. But the other way we do it is by working with the tea growing communities to offset the carbon that they produce, because in the supply chain for tea and coffee, most of the carbon emissions are at source. And so things like drying tea and coffee, or in the fertilizer they use, there's a lot of carbon used in that, as well as shipping. So in order to do that, obviously we can't eliminate all of that. We work with tea growing communities in Mount Kenya to plant trees, and we've planted about 5 million trees across our business over the last 30 years, and about 2 million in Kenya in the last few years. And the trees have a number of benefits for those farmers. Firstly, they sequester the carbon, so offset the carbon, but they also provide firewood. They provide alternative sources of income by growing things like avocados that they can sell in the markets, and they provide shelter for the farmers. So they're very popular with the farmers in Kenya. We've also done some projects with in Malawi on environmentally friendly cook stoves. So a lot of the families in Malawi, they have their fire in small huts, not very good for their health, burn lots of wood. So these environmentally friendly stoves that are made by ladies in Malawi out of clay use less wood and therefore are better for the environment and better for their health. And we've done that in Uganda and in Malawi. And so there are many benefits from that.
Yeah, you mentioned Kenya, Malawi, Uganda. We know that in those countries, education and access to water are real issues. So what are some of the ways, give us please some ideas about the ways you do support farmers in those countries?
Okay, yeah, so we do a lot of projects in those countries. Firstly, if I talk a bit about education. So we've invested a lot in schools. Education is a really important part for these people. That's how it helps them to get out of poverty. So we've invested in schools, in books, in other sorts of education, vocational training for things like tailoring, bicycle repair, carpentry, which gives them alternative sources of income other than particularly for smallholders who run small holdings. And then also we've invested a lot in water projects. So water is not very accessible for a lot of these communities. They're in high areas of Africa or Latin America. They often have to walk many miles to get their water. And so we've put pipes in with taps so that it takes the water to the communities. And over the years, I've opened a number of water projects with the communities we buy in, and the delight in people's faces when they don't have to walk up a hill in high temperatures to carry big containers of water down the hill, and see like this lad here, they've got a tap so they can access this. Really, really important to them.
And how do you help people, especially women, to develop education skills in those countries you're telling us about?
Yeah, so go on to the next slide. We do a lot of work with women. So in a lot of these communities, women are very disadvantaged. There's a lot of poverty, violence, and so we try to work with women to educate and empower them. So we've done projects in Assam, for instance, working with adolescent girls to try and educate them to form communal groups, to safeguard them against things like child marriage or taking away trafficked away to other parts of India. But also we educate them in good health, because a lot of the diets these people have are not very healthy at all. And we work with coffee growers in coffee growing communities. A lot of women play a big part in places like Peru and in Rwanda, where they grow coffee, and we work with coffee growing communities there to help them by buying their coffee and helping them in agriculture and agronomy, so they get better yields and better quality, and we can pay higher prices for them. So we link into women quite a lot. And then on the health side, we also do a lot to improve nutrition for younger children who don't get nutritious diets, through teaching them to grow healthy vegetables in things like kitchen gardens, but also in cooking. And then during the COVID pandemic, we did a lot of work giving money to areas of the world that were suffering with COVID to help them and maintain the relationships when we couldn't go out to see them ourselves over that period of time.
It's amazing all the actions you developed in those countries. What is your vision for the future?
Yeah, so looking ahead, our industry has a lot of systemic problems in it. Whether that be rural poverty or climate change, it has a big impact on the tea and coffee growing areas. So the problems we face, they're big things that we can't face alone as an organisation. But as a leading tea and coffee player now, we have the opportunity to convene groups across the industry and to gain their commitment to do bigger projects. In fact, I chair the Global Tea Coalition, which is a coalition of all the CEOs of the tea producing companies from around the world. And we're aiming on, there's two big areas that we're aiming on. The first one is on living wage and living income. So we want all of our workers to be paid a living wage, and we do this through working with governments to try and get the national minimum wage up, but we also do it by trying to work with our producers to ensure that they're paying fair wages to people who work in their plantations and factories. And then on living income, for smallholders, it's about the family getting more income, and this is not only from tea or coffee, but also from other sources of income that they might get to support their families. And then the other area that we're keen to work on is reducing the environmental impact, so going beyond carbon neutral to net zero, and this means reducing fertilizer use, reducing things like in India, they still burn coal to dry tea, and reducing the amount of carbon that they use in the supply chain to make it a more of a net zero. And of course more tree planting, because we love trees, and they're so good for the environment and for the communities that we work in. And we hope by bringing these issues to the fore, we can encourage consumers and our customers as well to take this more seriously, to raise the debate and ensure ultimately that a fairer price is paid for our products, because both tea and coffee are relatively low price products and a small amount gets down the value chain. And poverty is something which would alleviate a lot of the other problems, like gender violence, like malnutrition, like lack of education. As people get more money, it can bring them out of poverty, which is what we're striving to do, and to make a positive difference in the world.
Thank you. I think you do a positive difference in the world thanks to all your actions. We have time for questions from our audience today. Do you have any questions to ask to Andy Brown regarding? Yeah, I'm going to give you a mic because we cannot hear you very well. Hold on just a second.
Thanks for the great sharing, especially on your sustainability programs. I'm really impressed. We're just wondering, right, for a tea and coffee company like you guys, are you currently running any specific circular economy program within your supply chain that you can actually share with us?
Any what, sorry, problem?
Circular economy.
Circular economy.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, so I guess the work that we're doing towards net zero is for circular economy. So we do it at the supply side by trying to use less carbon and less materials and produce less waste. We work with our suppliers on that. So things like in Brazil or in Latin America, where coffee production produces a lot of water that's very acidic, we put purification plants in place. And then on the packaging side, when we get to the UK, we're trying to make all of our packaging recyclable or reusable and without carbon in it, so that it can be reused. And we've got a big project at the moment. We're investing a lot of money in Yorkshire tea to remove the outer wrap. All of our tea bags now in the UK are plastic free as well. So we're trying to get that circular, reusable, recyclable in our packaging, and as much as possible in the supply chain. So, for instance, we did a project that Will next to you will remember in a place called Makamboki in Kenya, where we used the waste products to create pellets that were then used to dry the tea in the tea factories. So it's easier said than done sometimes on these things, because there's a lot of waste that we need to try and eliminate, and that's what we're putting our efforts for the next few years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? No? So I guess it was perfectly clear. Is there anything you want to add, Andy?
No, not particularly. Just to say, if you're interested in find out more, please come and see us. See it as our booth, and we can tell you a lot more about some of the work we're doing and the great products that we're selling around the world. But thanks very much. Thanks,
Thank you. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.